talk to her. She is on? We got her. All right. She's a very busy lady, too, by the way. She's currently serving as a senior advisor to America Rising Squared, an executive director of America Rising PAC. Ms. Smith, a former chairwoman of the College Republican National Committee, was the first female elected to the chair in the organization's 125-year history. That is awesome, and she's with us now. How are you? You're on 740 KVOR.
Thanks so much for having me. I am great. That is quite the introduction.
Oh, there's more. You want me to keep going? You are a very busy lady. There's no doubt about it. By the way, you also out there, you're a member of the Federalist Society and the Republican National Lawyers Association. So I'm sure people are having conversations with you with SCOTUS. Tomorrow is a big day, right?
Absolutely. I am waiting with bated breath to see which of the qualified jurists that the president's going to choose. He has an absolutely excellent list to choose from. And so, we're going to have yet another Supreme Court pick that will be faithful to the Constitution, and I am just so excited about that.
Now, we have, right, that list of 25, give or take a few others and so forth. And Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has had this list for a couple of years now, and he actually went out there and he had the not only sense and logic, but the spinal fluid to put that list out before he became president, which showed even more fervor to get that Supreme Court squared away, straightened out, right?
And you bring up something that I think is often overlooked, and that's the fact that the president actually did release that list of 25 jurists before he was even elected. So the president's been fully transparent with us about, what he's looking for in a Supreme Court justice. It's the same list from which he chose Justice Gorsuch, and we've seen what a success he's been. And I think it's, it's making the Democrats look all the more ridiculous because, they're pulling their hair out, lighting themselves on fire over a name that we don't even know yet, but they should have a good idea of who this person's going to be.
Well, exactly right. And so what I did at the beginning of the program today, Alexandria, I went over, the short list, the 3-4 people, just kind of get a review so we can all know what the president is looking at as well, these people. But they are all, generally speaking, I believe, they're all constitutionalists. They're all originalists. It seems so, by reading about their past.
Yeah, I think that the most important labels, we often throw around when we're talking about the judiciary different labels. The liberals like to say we want progressive jurists, and they often accuse the Republicans of wanting conservative jurists. This really speaks to their fundamental misunderstanding about the judiciary as a whole and about why conservatives believe what we do about it. We speak from a few guiding principles. Yeah. One is that of originalism. So we want people who are going to interpret laws and the Constitution according to its original public intent. And we also believe in textualism. So we believe in interpreting the letter of the law as it was written. And whereas, liberals believe in,
legislating from the bench.
Legislating from the bench, basically using the court system as just another legislator, another place where they can affect policy outcomes that they can't do at the ballot box and they can't do through the legislator.
Now, Alexandra, by the way, and it's great to have you on today, on a Sunday, of course. Alexandra Smith is our guest. She's on 740 KVOR. Now, the show, I'm sure he's already made his choice. In fact, I bet he made the choice last week. And now we have these little leaks coming out. McConnell likes this guy and so forth. And we heard that, and many conservatives are going, think Mike Lee should be up there. And, we all have our difference of opinions and so forth. But it's been quite the clamor, hasn't it, all week long? And by the way, there's like infighting within the conservative groups and cliques. Have you noticed?
So I think it's no mistake that the pick and the president's primetime announcement coincides with the Bachelor, because it really does seem like there's these contestants that everyone is vying for. Everyone has a favorite. But, it really, I think, speaks to an embarrassment of riches that we have as conservatives.
You're right.
We've spent years cultivating conservative, we as conservatives, we have spent years cultivating people who are faithful to the Constitution in the federal judiciary. And it meant that the president has a lot of great names to choose from when these vacancies occur. So the fact that we're nitpicking the nuances,
and we are, yes, and I'm included.
That's what we do. That's what we do as conservatives, and that's a great thing. I think it helped produce the current list that we have, and how deeply rich and intellectual these people and the records are, I think speaks to, our thoughtfulness in this. But, really at the end of the day, all of these names are qualified.
Sure.
All of these names should be smooth sailing through the Senate. And I think that we're going to get a terrific justice out of this pick.
Now, Alexandra, and I would ask that too. So the proceedings, once the choice has been made, and it's a couple of months, we want to get it done before. Obviously, President Trump wants to get it done before the midterms. I would agree with that. I think that's smart. Some people are saying that he's rushing this. I don't think he's rushing it. I think it's standard operating. I mean, the guy knows he needs to get a new justice in there, and why not now? Why wait around and bounce the ball around? I think it's smart to get with it, and get on it.
It's funny that the same people who are saying that the president is rushing this pick, they seem to forget their history a little bit here. If you'll recall, in 2010, that's not so far away here, President Obama was a midterm election. Mm-hmm. He had a Supreme Court vacancy, and so he nominated Justice Kagan in May of that year, and she was confirmed by August.
Bang.
So,
like that.
For everyone who's saying that the president, doesn't have a right to pick a Supreme Court justice, before the midterm elections is just totally, forgetting their history. And then we have some of the Democrats who are just, they're so apoplectic
that
they can't even, they can't communicate any sort of strategy to defeat the president on this. I mean, you have Elizabeth Warren. She's just out there with #resist. We got to resist the president, whatever.
Crazy woman. Good Lord.
And then we have, Senator Cory Booker, who actually went so far as to say that the president shouldn't be allowed to pick a Supreme Court justice until the Mueller investigation is over.
Exactly.
I was like, Cory, I don't remember seeing that in Article 2.
No, and they are. They're beside themselves. It doesn't matter who gets picked. I mean, some of us, we conservatives, well, I'd rather have him pick so-and-so than that. That doesn't matter. What's going to happen is, you used the word apoplectic. That's exactly right. I would also say conniption fit. That's what is going to happen. And they are. They're saying the most outlandish things that just, it's from bizarro land. And by the way, Alexandria, there's a story that I think they published this yesterday. It's an editorial in the New York Times. Democrats do not surrender the judiciary. Did you see this?
I did see it. And it's funny because the New York Times also, their editorial board, they published shortly after Justice Kennedy's announcement that he was going to retire. They published an editorial saying, now we need to, the message is clear. We need to go to the ballot box. And it was like, that wasn't clear to you all along. But if you want to achieve specific policy outcomes, that you might want to start with electing the people who are constitutionally empowered to pass those laws.
It makes perfect sense. Now look, I want to ask you, because you're a young person, these people that were very much never Trump, no matter what Trump did, no matter what, you just can't have him in there. There are a lot of people out there that were smug, they were moralists, whatever. They're never Trump, or they're sometimes Trump. And some of them are getting along better than they were, but some of them are still just completely against him, no matter what, and there's no way they could vote for him. They wrote in their mom's name. They did this, the other thing. What is your consideration of never Trump? I think I'd like to know that from somebody like you.
Well, I think that when we're speaking about sort of the divided Republican, Republican Party, going back to the nominating contest,
sure.
Nothing makes conservatives more united. Nothing makes us feel more, warmer or fuzzier than a Supreme Court pick.
That's true.
I think it is just, it is such a clarifying moment for a lot of conservatives about, sort of what's at stake. And, I think that there are a lot of people who are looking at just even the recent Supreme Court term, looking at the Janus decision, and, they're saying, thank God we had Justice Gorsuch. Thank God that he was in place there. And, we hope that this new person also continues to shape the Supreme Court for years to come in a way that shows fidelity to the Constitution.
That's exactly right, and that's why the Supreme Court was so important, still is so important, and it's so interesting because, Alexandria, in 2016, the Supreme Court was the headline, was the so important issue, and here we are again, to midterms. I believe it's the same kind of thing, though midterms will come, and we will have, our president will have picked a Supreme Court justice, and the procedure will continue. Nevertheless, it's still of high priority. That's what I never understood about these never Trumpers out there saying, well, you know what, we'll just worry about that later. If Hillary was the president, the Supreme Court would be in dire straits. We would all be in dire straits because of that.
Well, I think that there were a lot of voters who made that same calculation because, for at least 20% of the electorate, the Supreme Court was their top issue in voting in the 2016 elections. And among that 20%, voters who did believe that it was the most important issue, they broke for Trump by quite a large margin. So
Alexandria, one more question. The blue wave, is it a blue puddle? Is it something we just got to overwhelm the ballot box? We don't want to be smug either. We got to fight, no matter where you are, no matter what state you're in. We've got to make sure we pay attention to this and focus. We got to overwhelm the ballot box, right, as conservatives, Republicans?
Absolutely. And you know what? We need the Democrats to continue to be ridiculous on this issue, on the issue of abolishing ICE, and I think that will do a lot better in November than they expect.
What is your Twitter handle, Alexandria, so everybody can follow you?
It is at Alexandra C. Smith, and you can go to our website, americarisingpac.org or arsquared.org to follow some of our Supreme Court commentary.
It is awesome to know you and great to have you on the show, Alexandria. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You betcha. Take care of yourself. There she goes. Alexandria Smith, America Rising, very smart young person. My name is Tron. I'm a very smart old person.